welcome everybody out to our final commission meeting of the year, December 18th, 2024. If you'll all please stand and repeat the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There's two things we need to take care of before we get into the agenda. The first one is a notification that we're having some vandals out at the ice pond. They're throwing rocks out onto the ice, and that causes us to stop, clear all the rocks, reset the ice. It costs a lot of time and energy and effort to make all that happen. So if you know who's doing it, please tell them to stop, because it's ruining that opportunity, opportunity for everyone else when they do that. It's just not fair that a handful of people are ruining that opportunity for everybody else. We only have a limited amount of time for that to happen in our community, where it can stay frozen for long enough. So please, if you know who they are, tell them to stop. If it is you, please stop for the benefit of everybody else that enjoys that activity. Now on to a much lighter note. We have a presentation from Randy Edwards. If you'd like to come up and please explain what this is.
Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to come, because we'd like to honor your services to our veterans in your community. The Sheriff's Department, under Specialist Gavitt, he submitted his employers for the Patriot Award, and this is an award that's given by the Secretary of the Defense, and we would like to present them this award. Without the support of our veterans, we can't accomplish our missions. That's our national security. The National Guard and Reserve actually does does 50% of all of the active missions throughout the world. If we didn't have the Guard and Reserve to fill in, we wouldn't be able to do our active duty missions and our tasks and duties and responsibilities. So we want to thank our employers and supervisors and commissioner and directors and all that support our veterans. And we actually understand that Katie had gone out of her way and actually wrote a special policy just for veterans, so they have more time to provide and to do their services, because they need that time off. Without that time off, they don't get the training and they don't get to advance in their careers without the support of their supervisors. So we want to thank you. So on behalf of the Office of the Secretary of Defense, from the Department of Defense, we'd like to present these employer supports to Kelly Payne.
Thank you.
We have Adam Cox, Carbon County Sheriff's Office. And we have two more, but they're not here. It would be Jeff Wood, and we also have Cletus Steele. So we'd like to have them recognized, and thank you for your time for being here. Thank you again. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a new appreciation for those that serve. My son-in-law just finished his training and is now a Guard member. So thank you for what you guys do. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes. Commissioners, we have a set of minutes from the December 4th, 2024 meeting.
I saw no corrections.
I see none either. I'll make the motion that we approve the meeting minutes from December 4th, 2024.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 2 is consideration and possible approval of a memorandum of understanding for property lease and testing agreement between Carbon County and Clean Development International. Shanny, you want to explain what this is about?
Yeah, you bet. So the county just purchased some property out on Ridge Road, and we've talked about that in commission meeting. And as a part of that, we've also been working with a company called Clean Development International, who is highly interested in locating out on that property. They're looking at leasing 40 acres. I actually talked to the developer today, and he did want me to state that they would like to lease to start, and then maybe years down the road, they would like to purchase the property. So that's new information that I just got today. But they are ready to move in last week. So they would like to start doing some land research and all the testing out there just to make sure that it, complies with their needs. So that's what this MOU is about. It's a non-binding agreement to allow them to go on the property and do the appropriate testing that they need to do. So,
Any questions?
No questions. I might mention that there's several parts to this. One's the environmental clearances to satisfy their lending institutions, and the others to test the soils to see what how much bearing capacity the soils have. So
yeah,
more
it's
information
all in
there.
here, everything that they want to do. So this allows them 30 days to go out there and get that done. So.
No questions.
Yeah, no questions either. It is exciting to see that there's more than just one that's very interested in this land. So I think as we move forward that it's really going to pan out well for us. So.
Thank you.
So if there's no other conversation, I would make a motion that we approve the memorandum of understanding for the property lease and testing agreement between Carbon County and Clean Development International.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 3 is review and possible approval of Colvita Creative scope of work for 2025. Commissioners, I just want to point out in the budget, just as a brief explanation, this is a larger amount than last year, but in reality, it's not. So last year, it is a little bit more as far as what we're actually paying Colvita, but last year we paid them $70,000. This year we're paying them for the work they're doing $83,000, but they are also the rest of that money is grant money from Utah Office of Tourism and county match funds that we receive in tourism through TRT and restaurant tax. And they are going to manage that for us. And by manage it, they're going to do all of our media purchases and all the other advertising that we do for the county. So that's where that is. It used to be they'd send us the invoice and we'd send the money. Then there was a lot of back and forth. This way, we'll still track it, but they'll manage paying all of the media buys and all the other things that we do through them. So that's where the change is between the 2 years. Any other questions? I do have Tina here if we have deeper questions than that.
Well, I think it's important. This just came to our attention right before the meeting today. So just so we're aware, I went through and calculated everything again and made sure that it added the total of the scope of work. But there is some discrepancy on the scope of work as is. So I would request, if approved, that we don't sign this copy because in some of the areas they've listed it as a monthly fee when it's actually an annual fee. They mentioned that it's monthly at the bottom, but at the top in the title it says monthly when it should be annually. So I've reached out to them and asked them to make those corrections for a final version. But
Thank you. Thanks for catching that.
it was Lynn.
Thanks for catching that.
Thanks, Lynn.
I don't have any questions. If there's nothing else, I'll make a motion that we approve the agreement between Colvita Creative Scope of Work for 2025 with the changes that you've recommended when those have been made to sign it.
And I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you
Thanks,
again for all that
Commissioners.
you've done to put that together, Tina. Item number 4, consideration of possible approval of memorandum of understanding for the state of Utah for Utah State University Extension and Carbon County.
We'll get Steve here. if he
Steve,
wants
do you want to come speak to this a little bit?
Thank you, Commissioners. So as you are aware, Extension is the public service side of Utah State University, which is the land grant university. So every single county in the state has an extension office with professionals like myself that are here to improve the lives and knowledge of the people that we serve in Carbon County. That can be anything from helping farmers, gardeners, to teaching workshops on cooking for low-income folks, for people with diabetes. So we do a lot of different things here in the county. This MOU just codifies that that association. We have had a multi-year MOU in the past, but moving forward, the county thought that it would be good to have an annual MOU, and whatever we can do to make things easier for you, we're on board. So that's what we presented.
Yeah, I think one of the terms that was kind of out there a ways too was just the length of the agreement. You know, it would be, I believe, 50 years, which is quite significant. It's not common in a lot of contracts, so.
Yeah. And I understand that. And so hopefully the annual MOU works just fine, and that's fine for me. I don't know about you guys, but I don't plan on being here for 50 years.
We want every commissioner after us to have to, deal with these contracts. So
Absolutely.
I'd just say that the extension is a critical part of the community, and we really appreciate it, and there's no reason that we wouldn't want to continue that effort with you guys helping. So I have no questions.
Yeah, I agree. It's a needed service. You guys do a great job, and with your leadership, it's been phenomenal. So thank you. I'll go ahead and make a motion then that we approve the memorandum of understanding with the Utah State University Extension in Carbon County.
I'll second that.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Commissioners.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks,
Thanks
Steve.
for all you do. Item number 5 is consideration of possible approval of ordinance number 582, annual updates to the Carbon County Development Code. Is Todd here? I'm not sure I can. Oh, he's got a suit and tie on tonight, so I didn't recognize him.
Since it's your last commission meeting, Commissioner Hopes, I wanted to prove after 8 years I do own a shirt and a tie. Not sure I'll wear it again, but here it is. So annually we do updates to our development code. This year there were some bigger updates because of the state required subdivision changes. So the updates we had, so there was no updates in section 1, 2, 3, or 4. In section 5, it covers our conditional uses. There was a slight change in that. What we changed for the conditional uses is when the planning commission or myself issues a conditional use permit, if someone needs to extend it, they go to the designated land use authority for that extension. So that just clarifies if an extension of a conditional use needs to be made, it goes to the land use authority who issued the conditional use permit. In section 6, that's our subdivision section. This is where we had significant changes. a lot of the changes, or some of the changes we had completed. One of the biggest changes is legislative bodies such as yourself as commission or city councils can't approve subdivisions anymore. So the state took that ability away. So the process now is it can be reviewed by planning commission at a preliminary, but they can't approve it. It has to be an administrative approval. So they designated me as the final approval for subdivisions now. And also the state took away the option to have a concept approval. So there's only 2 steps now. It's a preliminary and a final approval. Within that process, there are 4 review cycles that are allowed. So the planning commission can come through and review it. After the 4th one, if they don't have everything in there or there's other changes, the developer gets to move forward. And that's because they've had issues with developers and planning commissions reviewing it and making little changes and taking too long to get subdivision to go through. So there's only 4 review cycles. Those are the biggest changes. So we made those updates so that we're compliant with state code. There wasn't any changes in section 7, 8, or 9, or so in 7 and 8. In section 9, we just added a definition for substantial action. We didn't have any changes in section 10 or 11. And we had 1 change to our engineering, design, and construction standards. We ran into some issues when we were doing some road construction where some utilities weren't deep enough. Most utilities have a requirement how deep they are. And in certain cases, there's no requirement. So in there, we just put, they have to be a minimum of 24 inches below finished grade so that we don't run into any other conflict. So we just had that just to back up in case that particular utility didn't have any depth requirements. So, but those are the changes to our development code for the year. So if you guys have any questions for me or comments.
I don't have any questions. I just appreciate, Todd, you and the planning commission and your staff. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that the public really don't see. And you guys are working really hard to approve things quickly and be fair with developers, and I think it's working really well. So I've reviewed these and I feel good about the changes that are recommended.
So maybe just a little explanation more on that section 6 as far as subdivisions go. So will a developer need to bring that to a planning and zoning or just to you as a director? Will it be any banter, or how will that process work going forward?
So they'll bring in their preliminary application. So when we define a preliminary application as 90% complete, so they'll bring that to planning commission, and the planning commission will review that with all of our standards and everything else. And they can make comments and they can have them correct it and then come back. So it'll all start with planning commission. And then once they have all those changes in there that they want, then it's just that last final 10%. And typically that's just your bonding. Your performance guarantees is really kind of all that's left, and maybe a little bit of the drainage, hydrology stuff that just has to be fine tuned. So that's where it'll start. And then once they have all those corrected, then it'll come to me, and then we finish out, like I said, with the bonding and some of those other last few things.
So no longer will they be get an approval, thumbs up, thumbs down from the planning and zoning, and then come to commission. It'll just stop at your office.
Yep.
Any other questions?
I'll make the motion that we approve ordinance 582 to the Carbon County Development Code.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thanks for all your work on that.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Todd.
Thanks for wearing a shirt and tie today. Item number 6, consideration of possible approval to apply for the Utah Outdoor Community Parks and Recreation Grant. Geri Gamber from CERTA, not the mattress company.
Thank you for this opportunity, Commissioners. So DNR, through the Division of Outdoor Rec, has a brand-new grant in 2025, and it's an opportunity. It's called the Community Parks and Recreation Grant. It opens January 13th to March 17th. The estimated notice of the award will be May or June of 2025, but it's an opportunity for you for shade structures at your softball fields. So if you're interested, we're happy to do the application. It would be under Carbon County, and it's going to be a highly competitive grant. There's a lot of people applying for us, but we're really working with the agency to get this and do it correctly. So anyway, we're asking for the opportunity to apply for it.
I think it's an awesome opportunity.
It really is, and not only for the shading, but also the safety of foul balls. That's one of the issues we have when there's tournaments and lots of play going on at multiple fields. So do you want to explain kind of the payment and the match?
So it's the amount we're applying for is $200,000. There is a 20% match. It's recommended. Cash will make you more competitive, but there are the in-kind opportunities to do as well.
And one thing that we're working on too, since we have the facilities, we have had the USU Eastern play out there. We have had the school district as well, and they want to be participating in some of these upgrades. So if the commission so chooses to approve this, we could ask them to help offset some of the financial costs as well.
Yeah, and it covers so much that outdoor rec is never covered. So it is an opportunity to plan for your future years to apply as well. They probably won't give you 2 grants in 1 year, but it is worth planning to strategize and prioritizing what you'd like to apply for in the future.
Yeah, we appreciate you finding this for us and bringing it to the attention of the director out there, Ms. Courtney. So,
Well, we're excited to work with it. And so anyway, thank you for the opportunity. Can I say just one thing?
sure.
We just wanted to express our gratitude to Commissioner Hopes. He has really helped us become stronger and work on the right priorities and helped CERTA become an agency that's helpful to the county. So we just want to thank him for all that. We'll miss him. Am I done?
Unless they have any.
I don't have any questions. Thanks, great, great deal.
We'll talk about Casey later. So. If there's no other conversation, I'll make a motion that we approve, give the approval to CERTA to apply for the Outdoor Community Parks and Recreation Grant.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Item number 7, consideration of possible approval of master professional services agreement, aviation services between Woolpert, Inc. and Carbon County. Commissioners, every 5 years, we're required to go out to bid for professional services or airport engineering services out at the airport. We did that. We opened those bids. I believe it was back in November. And we had an opportunity to review. We received 2 bids, and Woolpert was one of those. And they have been performing that service for us for a number of years, and we each agreed that they were the strongest candidate to continue with that service. Any questions? This is just their master services agreement.
I don't have any.
Yeah, I don't either. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the master, or give approval of the master professional service agreement, Aviation Services between Woolpert, Inc. and Carbon County.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 8, consideration of possible approval of resolution number 2024-04, appointment to the Scofield Special Service District and Housing Authority and Tax Advisory Boards for 2025. If you remember, we had some boards that we didn't receive any applications. Since then, we've received a few applications for a couple of those boards. The first one, the Carbon County Tax Advisory Board, we had one vacancy, and Mikkel Woodruff has put in an application for that one.
I don't have any questions. I'm okay with
She
that.
has served on the board. This would be a reappointment.
Yeah.
If you want a motion, I'll make a motion that we appoint Mikkel Woodruff to serve on the Carbon County Tourism Tax Advisory Board.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. And then for the Scofield Special Service District, these are set out by areas that they would serve in, and each of these are different areas. So we have Geri Zambruan, and he would be representing the Clear Creek Homeowners Association. Then we have Scott Olson, who would be representing the Forester subdivision, and that would be a reappointment. He currently sits on the board. We have Rudy Metelko, and he would be representing Scofield West. Again, that would be another reappointment. And those are the one. Those are the only ones for that board for those specific positions. Any questions?
No, this board it takes care of the sewer system around Scofield Reservoir, all the homes, cabins around that are close to the lake, also Scofield Town and Clear Creek. They have a system that gathers everyone's sewer and collects it into a large drain field that's up above the lake, far enough that it doesn't contaminate the lake anymore. So I don't have any questions. I think they're all three
Okay.
good appointments.
And each area has a vacancy that we need to fill. So,
Correct.
I'll go ahead and make a motion then that we approve Geri Zambrunen for the Clear Creek, Scott Olson for the Forester, and Rudy Metelko for the Scofield West.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And then the last board that we received an application for is the Housing Authority Board. And that applicant is Jack Riddle. This would be a reappointment to the Housing Authority Board, as he's already serving on that board.
We have another one there.
Did we?
Jack Riddle and Douglas Newell.
Oh, and Douglas Newell. Apologize.
I'll make the appointment, or I'll make the motion that we approve Douglas Newell and Jack Riddle to serve on the Housing Authority of Carbon County.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 9, consideration of possible approval of ordinance number 583 for the 2025 Carbon County Commission meeting schedule. Just for the public's information, this sets the dates for the county commission meetings for the upcoming year. We have to do this in a public meeting so that people know when our meetings are going to be, and it has to be passed by ordinance. So
Were there 4 seats for these meetings coming up for next year?
no, just
No,
3.
Just 3?
You might want to mention on that meeting schedule that the first meeting of your month, if they're on the first and the third Wednesdays, that first one will have no meeting held because it's
That's a good point. So Wednesday, January 1st, 2025 is New Year's Day, and the county does not meet. And so there will be no meetings for that first commission meeting. You're welcome, Jared, of the 2025 year.
If there's no other comments, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve ordinance number 583 for the 2025 Carbon County Commission meeting schedule.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 10, consideration of possible approval of engineering services agreement between Carbon County and Horrocks LLC regarding the Carbon County Inland Port Rail planning. Commissioner Jensen, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, the property that was purchased out by Ridge Road and that runs along the east side of the railroad spur leading to Savage Coal Terminal. As we've purchased that property, there's a very critical need for us to understand how rail would service the area. We have multiple people currently looking at wanting to locate there, and so this Horrocks Engineering group is the only engineering firm in the state of Utah that Union Pacific will accept drawings from. So this is where we need to they need to help us, and they're already in the middle of that. We had a MOU in a previous meeting to get them started, and this is an agreement. Their cost is $59,000 to do some internal project coordination and management, prepare a drone topo survey, prepare utility investigation, prepare concept plans, prepare DevCon drawings, and prepare the Union Pacific Railroad focus site exhibits. So they've already been very helpful as we've met with two of the parties that want to move out there. So I would recommend that we enter into the agreement with them for them to work for us.
And to your point too, Commissioner Jensen, that 3 of the 4 companies that are looking out there are going to have rail needs. So very, very important that we get this done. So
Now, I guess, just as an update for everybody, it's interesting. We took ownership of that 307 acres, I think 3 weeks ago. And we already have 4 companies that literally are going to about fill it up. So, and some of them are large projects that are going to bring some large value to the tax base of the county. This doesn't happen overnight, and there's still roadblocks in front of every one of them, but we're very encouraged by what we're seeing. And 2 of those companies we're not able to even talk about yet. So hopefully at some point in the future, they'll make some announcements that'll be a big deal for us. So
absolutely.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve the engineering service agreement between Carbon County and Horrocks LLC regarding the Carbon County Inland Port Rail planning.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 11, consideration of possible approval of a lease agreement with Price River Watershed Conservation District for parcel number 02-2275-0000.
Yeah.
Commissioners, just to give a little bit of history, and then I'll turn it over to Bill. I looked right at you. My mind went blank.
I don't
It happens
have
to
my
me
hat
all
on.
the time.
It's like, when you saw him with the tie on, you see me without my hat on, same thing happens.
Thank you for being here tonight. We formerly had the Livestock Association. We had an agreement with them to oversee and lease the property to them. They provided a service for the community. And there are some corrals and some sheds that store some community type equipment that can be leased or borrowed or whatever that is to different farmers throughout the community. So really it's the corrals have some some scales for weighing of livestock, that anybody from our junior livestock go out there and use those, to ranchers and farmers that go out and use those scales. The Livestock Association is no longer in place, and they would like, we tried to get this done before they were out of the way, but they're no longer in place, and so they wrote us a letter and expressed their desire to turn it over to the Price River Watershed Conservation District. And then we received a letter from the Conservation District requesting the ability to lease that property. Questions?
No question, but for the public, this property is owned by the county. It is on the Upper Miller Creek Road,
Yes.
south of Ridge Road a little ways, and it's been used for a long time by the Cattlemen's Association, and I think this will be a good fit for the Conservation District.
Yeah, there's that set of corrals there, and like Casey said, we got a set of scales there, and those scales are certified by the state every year. They are legal to sell across, and the Conservation District intends to keep them in that state, to pay to keep them that way, and to make the corrals available to use. We're not wanting to make a profit on it. If the kids want to weigh their 4-H animals and whatnot, there's no charge at all. If a local producer would like to market their calves across them, we'd want to charge just a nominal little fee to help pay for the certification on those scales. That's $200 a year. So if we can make that much off of that, we're good. If we don't, we're willing to front that and just keep that place working. And like Casey said, we've also got a shed there where we store some equipment that we rent out to local producers. There's 3 no-till drills and some aerators and a track filler. So I think it'd be a good thing to do that, and the district is willing to step up and take on the role of upkeep and maintenance on that property.
I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it's a good purpose and people are using it for what is intended. So.
The lease is kind of tough. It's $1 a year.
Oh, you're killing me. Okay. So now it's costing me $201 a year with the scale certification. And, yeah. Perfect.
I think it's a good community service, so that's my opinion. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion then that we issue approval of the lease agreement with the Price River Watershed Conservancy. Let me try this over. Issue the approval of a lease agreement with the Price River Watershed Conservation District for parcel number 02-2275-0000.
I'll second that.
That was tougher than $1, wasn't it?
You have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Gentlemen, while I've got you, do you mind if I bring up one more topic that just sort of came to me this morning? I'd like a letter of support for a, bring these up. So what the district would like to do is apply for a Water Smart grant through what they're calling the B2E2 funding. This is Bureau Reclamation funding. It's 100% funding. There is no match required. We're going to try to put this towards our Lower Basin Reservoir project. We're looking to, the funding that we're asking for is in a couple of phases in case we can't get the whole thing. But phase 1 is $50 million and phase 2 is $51 million. So we're hoping to maybe get $101 million to put towards building that reservoir. Wherever it does end up being, either in Consumers or Garley Wash. And we just like the commission to provide us a letter of support. The trouble I've got is the timeline. I'll need that letter by probably the 8th of January. These applications are due on the 10th of January. And this was announced, I think, last week. So I've got, you just mentioned Horrocks Engineering. I've got Horrocks Engineering working on putting this proposal together. We think we can get it done. we think there's a decent chance we might get funded. So right now, the funding for that reservoir was coming through the NRCS at a 75% cost share, which would cost somebody around here 25%. This cannot be used to match that, but we can use it to fund the entire project. So if we can get this, I think that'd be a real win for the community. So I don't know if you can act on that today or not, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
We can't act on it today because it wasn't on the agenda.
Correct.
However, I believe they can offer you a letter of support if they decide to, without it going through the commission meeting.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. That sounds
Thank you.
good, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
Item number 12, consideration on possible approval of a land sales agreement with CO2 Sink for Lot 1 in the industrial park. Commissioner Jensen.
So this is one of the companies interested in our property on Ridge Road. They are anxious to enter into a purchase agreement with the county. They have this in hand. They have 2 units that they need a place to set in April. So they're on a fast track to get a piece of ground picked up and begin the environmental work on it as well. I had a phone conversation with them just before we came in here. There's a couple of things that they're wanting to negotiate over. If there's no questions, I think what I would recommend is that we approve this. And if there's changes, we have to bring it back for approval. So I think we can probably take care of it without having to come back. But I would think that we could approve this the way it is written right now.
And the amount of land that they want hasn't changed?
No, they want 10 acres, and the one of the part of the reason that they want 10 acres is that the environmental clearance work for a 10-acre site is much less than if it's more than that. So they want to start with 10 acres. And one of the questions is they'd like a first right of refusal on additional property there, which we're not in a position right now to do because we would need to do an additional subdivision, some more subdivision works, which is going to have to go through the Planning Commission. So the one lot could be approved by our county planner, Todd Thorne, which this has already been done. But now to add a second subdivision lot requires some more work. So that's the part that's not done. It would have to be surveyed so the property descriptions are accurate for us to enter into an agreement for the first right of refusal for them to buy an additional 20 acres at some point in the future.
More questions?
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve the land sales agreement with CO2 Sink for lot number 1 in the Carbon Industrial Park.
And I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 13 is consideration and possible approval of a Carbon County credit card for Commissioner-elect Jared Haddock and Department Head and Assessor-elect Amy Peters. This would be just setting it up. I believe Amy has some trainings like right off at the beginning of the first of the year that she will be attending. So this would allow her the ability to attend those using and not have to pay for it and then get reimbursed from the county. It would allow her to jump in and get started right off the bat.
No questions.
I'll go ahead and make a motion then that we issue approval of the Carbon County credit card for Jared Haddock, Commission Department, and Amy Peters with the Assessors Department.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move to adjourn.
You can
So you have to come back in January.
You can handle this in January. Before we do this, I'd just like to take a moment of license. I was good, and publicly thank my family. For allowing me to serve. It was not always easy on them. But they allowed me to do it for 12 years. So I want to thank them. I want to thank the county employees. We really have great employees at the county. And it was my pleasure to be able to serve with them, not over them, but with them, because they were good employees. They really have the county's, the public's best interest at heart. So I'm very grateful for the county employees, and I'm also very grateful for the community for giving me the opportunity. I was a nobody, still am. But they took a chance on me, and I'm very grateful for that. For the things I was able to accomplish and do and work on while being a commissioner. I'm very thankful for that. We made some hard decisions, and a lot of them were not favorable with the community. And in the future, we'll know if those were the right decisions. Maybe they weren't. But I am super hopeful for our community. I think we have good things going on. We have a bright future. We have companies that are interested. And it's because as a community, cities, county, school district, the college, Utah State University Eastern, we're all pushing in the same direction. It's easy to find fault in anything that happens. It's hard to work together. And our community has made that decision to work together. And it's making a difference. People in the state, as we sat in meetings throughout the last couple of years, have taken note of the work that's going on, because the entire community is pushing together. Like I said, it's easy to find fault in anything, but it's hard to find common ground and to push and work to solve the problems. We all know that there's problems, but thank you for allowing me the opportunity. It's certainly bittersweet saying goodbye, but thank you. With that, I'll make a motion, or I'll,
Oh, wait, can we have a bottle on this?
if you want. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe if I could chime in before we appoint Tony. I have been here long enough to watch Casey. I knew Casey before we served together here, and I've always thought very highly of Casey and his family. And few people in this valley would understand what Casey has gone through. You have to kind of be on the inside to be able to understand it. I know that there's those here, elected officials, as well as some staff who have a better insight than the public would. And we had a thing today. Rose Barnes, our previous human resource director, was there, and she made the comment that it's not uncommon for her to be in a setting where people are talking about things going on in the county and being negative about it. And she can quickly open up the conversation and say, you have no idea what you're talking about. And that's really true. So the work that we do, though we're compensated as commissioners a little, the pay is terrible. And but it's about public service. We're not here for a job, and so we are here to serve the public. And it's been our goal, and I think we've been united from day one, the time that Tony and I have been here, that we have been united, and there's not ever been a personal agenda that's gotten in the way of any decision that's been made. We weigh every one of them very carefully and look at the decisions through the lens of we are representing 21,000 people, not just a few who are complaining and bringing some questions up in public settings. So those negative things have never weighed on our decision. We've never caved in to the pressures, and Casey stood strong through that. And I think the world of you, and I'm gonna miss you, and you'll probably get lots of calls for a while to help straighten some stuff out. Thanks.
Yeah, there's a lot to compliment Casey on, and there's a lot of, that saying, you don't know what you don't know. It's interesting talking about some of the criticism that we get, and we understand that we're fair game to a lot of people. They think that, with their situation in life is dictated by us. A lot of things that we've done, we've had to deal with things that were just in front of us when we were elected. We didn't make a lot of choices. When Larry and I got in, we were $33 million in debt with 20 projects. What people don't realize is we've paid off 4 of those projects. It doesn't sound like a lot, but here in a couple of years, we're gonna have 10 of those projects paid off. We're gonna owe $17 million. And this group has done that with the leadership of Commissioner Hopes. So we have done a lot of good things, and contrary to what you may believe, what you see on Facebook isn't true. And those that are on there, and the keyboard warriors who are gutless and can make all kinds of comments, but when they see you to your face, they won't say a word. I have no time for you. If you've got an issue, come to these meetings, come talk to us. Our phones are always been available. And I learned that from Commissioner Hopes. Just a quick little thing, people may or may not know, I've talked about it a bunch, but Casey and I ran against each other back in 2015. And Casey beat me by 247 votes. I looked it back up. And through that whole process of running against this gentleman here, he was positive, he was optimistic. He was telling me, what can I help you with? We had a debate at the high school, and there was a couple things that I said, and he said afterwards, that wasn't quite right. This is what it is. His heart is about the community. It's not about himself. When we run for these positions, it's not self-serving. We get a lot of things cast our way, but the impact that Casey's had on this community, people won't realize. He doesn't want to take a bow. He's never wanted the spotlight on himself. As an example, we had a little reception for him today, and he wasn't too excited about that, but he is a good person. I'm privileged to have worked with Commissioner Jensen and Commissioner Hopes. We've done a lot of good things, despite the criticism and the people that don't understand. But I think that's the small part. I mean, most people understand what we're doing, that we've got this thing kind of turned around for Carbon County, heading in a good direction. So I do want to thank you, your family, your daughters, grandkids. It's not easy, and nobody can understand that until they sit up here and are looking down those barrels and taking the arrows. So I just want to extend my thank you.
Well, thanks to both of you and for I've learned a lot. I had a big learning curve when I came here. I was somewhat naive myself. And I learned from every commissioner and everybody I've worked with here at the county. So thank you for your leadership, both of you, in helping me to grow as a person. And again, thanks to the community for allowing me the opportunity to serve. Item number 14 is consideration of possible approval of Tony Martinez as the Carbon County Commission Chair beginning January 1. I'll step down and make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.